Hello everybody, this is John. Welcome to the FMC NCGA Ag Weather Outlook, June 28th, 2015. Considering we're getting into sort of the middle months, the early middle month portion of summer, it's been quite interesting so far. It sure hasn't been quiet over some parts of the Corn Belt. If we look at the maximum consecutive dry days, look at this area in blue. That's saying that there's only been 3 to 5, and in some cases less than that, consecutive dry days out of the last 30 days over those areas. So we've had a lot of precipitation. We've not had a prolonged dry spell pretty much anywhere over the primary Corn Belt. Now, if we look at the last 7 days, we had more of a localized type pattern. We had these clusters of thunderstorms moving northwest to southeast across Iowa into northeast Missouri. You can see a very narrow streak of 5 inches or more in red. But then look at the eastern Corn Belt. That's a fairly widespread 2 inches or more. That's the area in yellow. Some pockets of red, so 2 to localized 5 inches over Illinois, Indiana, parts of Ohio, parts of southern Michigan. Also, fairly large part of Iowa had a modest rainfall, in some cases that extreme rainfall. So if we look at percent of normal for the last 7 days, we see most of the central and eastern Corn Belt once again received above normal precipitation, some cases 2 to 3 times normal. So it was another wet week over the eastern Corn Belt. Then over the northern and western Corn Belt, it was much drier. And that's sort of been the story now for a while. Central and east, especially eastern Corn Belt, has been wet. And I'll show you an image that really tells that story in just a second here. So if we look at the surplus and deficit, this is one of the images I like to look at because it tells us where we had excess rain or deficits of rain, and really look at the areas of blue, and that's indicating 2 inches or more extra rainfall over the week, and the purple is 4 inches or more extra rainfall. And that, one way or the other, to get back to normal, and there's a very direct relationship, as you know, between rainfall and soil moisture, we're going to have to lose that through evapotranspiration, and it's going to take a while to another 4 inches in those areas. Now, if you really want to look at one image that tells the story, here we go. This is the last 30 days departure from normal. And if you're in that area of purple, you know what I'm talking about. 4, 5, as much as 8 inches more rainfall than normal in the last 8 days. I did a calculation I put out on one of my ag advisors. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I showed how long it would take just with normal evapotranspiration to reduce that back to normal, and that's with normal precipitation, and that could be the rest of the active growing season. So we definitely have enough precipitation to last us now this growing season over the eastern Corn Belt, assuming normal precipitation. Now if we just shut it off, that might be different, shut off precipitation. I don't see that. So we definitely have enough precipitation, and in many cases too much precipitation. Now, over the last week, this is temperature departure, fairly close to normal, a little bit above or a little bit below normal. And if you are a grower that has fields in lowlands near rivers, many rivers in Illinois, Indiana, parts of Missouri, Iowa are running above bankful. Areas in red along the Illinois tributaries in Indiana, the Middle Mississippi River are running higher. Areas in red are moderate flooding. Purple is major flooding. So along the lower Illinois and the Mississippi River, Middle Mississippi River, we're running at major flood, which is somewhat unusual for this time of year. Usually the highest levels we get earlier in the year in spring. And if we look at a climatology of river floods, we would see this is not what we normally get this time of year. It's usually fairly quiet. So as you know, this is the area that is experiencing wet soils, and especially in the dark green shaded areas, that's where we do not want any more precipitation. So as I talk about precipitation, we don't really need much more in especially Illinois, Indiana, parts of eastern Missouri. Generally speaking, that's this area we really don't want extra precipitation. Now the jet stream has shifted. I've been sort of talking about that last week after a prolonged period in one type of pattern. Now we have this dip in the jet stream over the east, and definitely one of the impacts we're going to see are cooler than normal temperatures over the central and eastern Corn Belt, maybe even parts of the western Corn Belt. due to this dip in the jet stream. Now, middle of summer, so it's going to be welcome as far as a bit cooler temperatures, but it's going to be somewhat persistent. So if we look at this week, we're looking at temperatures 2 to as much as maybe 6 degrees below normal, maybe even 8 degrees in a few spots with clouds and if there would be some rain. And then if we get into the middle part of July, 8th through 13th, it's not as pronounced here. Look at the area of blue that's lifted to the north. So the cooler temperatures will be early in the period. As we get into the middle of July, it's going to moderate pretty close to normal. I think we're looking at normal temperatures. Now, one of the things I think we're going to have to watch in this type of pattern, and this is out there, so I'll have plenty of time to talk about it, but there could be little pockets of energy embedded in this flow. This is a northwest flow pattern. We're going to have to see. This is your midsummer when we have thunderstorms develop in this area and move off to the southeast. Let's see if that might happen. Just give you a little bit of a heads up, but we have a strong jet stream over the upper Midwest into the Ohio River Valley. Let's just keep an eye on that. That pattern could develop as we get into July. Now, if we look at temperatures in mid-July, look at this. We still have cool temperatures. So it looks like the cooler than normal temperatures from maybe, anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees below normal. It does look like that's going to continue right into the second week in July. Now, the all-important rainfall forecast, this is the next 7 days. And I guess the good news is not quite as active over the eastern Corn Belt, but it's not quite dry either. So where we had that extreme rain over Iowa, it looks like it's going to be quieter. Over parts of Illinois and Indiana, not nearly as active, but still we could have a couple more inches of rain, and we absolutely don't need any more rain over Illinois or Indiana. So it's not the best news, but at least it's not the pace of rain that we've seen in the last couple weeks doesn't look like it's going to continue. So let's look and see a little bit further out. This is this week. These are anomalies as we get into week 2. Now, the last 3 or 4 days I've been watching this very closely, and the models are trying to shift the center of action, which was sort of in this region, right in here, a bit more into the middle and western Corn Belt. And it's been consistent in showing that. And this region can use it a lot more. They can handle this rain because it's been drier. Let's look at week 3. Centers it over the Dakotas, but still it does show normal to maybe a little bit above normal, even over the eastern Corn Belt. So remember, in winter I was saying I was looking for a summer of ample rainfall. Well, this is what we're getting. We're getting ample rainfall, but in some cases it's sort of past that ample. It's more into the extreme rainfall. And then week 4, very little change, normal precipitation eastern Corn Belt. And then if this does work out, above normal precipitation in the upper Midwest, again, where it can use it in that area. Not that it's dry, but it hasn't been excessively wet as much as the eastern Corn Belt. So here your takeaway, scattered storms over the eastern half of the Corn Belt this week. I know we don't need the rain. Hopefully it won't be as much as we saw last week. So overall a bit quieter. The big pattern we're shifting into now is below normal temperatures into July. Very pleasant temperatures for late June and July. And then ample precipitation pattern looks like it's going to continue, but that center of the heaviest precipitation could be shifting a bit further west as we near July. So have a great week. Let's hope we don't get that much rain where we don't need it. And I'll be talking with you again real soon.